Duckhams support all fields of motorsport at all levels. This is the story of just one aspect of Duckhams sponsorship, the 1981 Tricentrol Saloon Car Championship.
When, 2 seasons ago, I first started writing my motor racing columns for Motor, I said that it would be an honest column, as free as I could make it of excuses. You'd get an insight into British Saloon Car Championship racing from the inside, warts and all.
Rex Greenslade is technical editor of Motor Magazine and part-time Duckhams Rover saloon car racer.
Last year was hard, as I helped develop the Rover from scratch. This year has been scarcely more successful for me, though the Patrick Motorsport with Motor Duckhams and ICI petrol team has improved steadily throughout the year. So I've had more than my fair share of warts to expose to you all.
Duckhams also support the Hughes of Beaconsfield Toyota Celica, driven by former Clubman's champion Chris Hodgetts.
First of all, Alton Park. We qualified on pole position, set a lap record and won the race quite convincingly, which was most enjoyable. And then down at Thruxton on the following Monday, on Easter Monday, we once again qualified on pole and won that race. Unfortunately, we didn't quite manage a fastest lap, but it was a very nice result to achieve and score a few more points.
It's obviously a very successful car you've got here.
Very, very quick car. A very good team behind it. Obviously, the lubrication is very important. The mechanics who are working on the car are very, very good. And the car itself is very, very good.
Now, what about here at Brands today, Chris? How are you going to get on today?
Well, I hope to win it.
The other driver in the Duckhams Rover team is Brian Muir.
Haven't been very exciting, to be honest with you. We seem to have gone up a couple of blind alleys and not really progressed. The cars have become reliable now, which is down to our engine blokes, but we haven't been able to wring any more speed out of them. But just lately, we've done some more work on the engines. We've had just on 5 weeks off since Thruxton. That's given us a chance to sort of sit down and think and run a few tests. And I think you'd probably say we haven't exactly found out what does work, but we've found out what doesn't work. So at least we know what direction we're going in now. And I think today's time to prove that.
A cold, wet bank holiday in May at Brands Hatch, the third round of the championship. So far this season, success has eluded the team, and the bad luck continues in the atrocious conditions.
When we put the wets on, it was super. But prior to that, it was diabolical, you know. It was, you don't like to give in, but sooner or later, common sense prevails, you know. And I saw Rex in the pits, and I thought, well, I'll like, you know, he'll be out in a minute, I'll wait. But when I came around the second time, he was still in. I thought, back of this, I'm going to finish up, you know, in the trees.
Rex, too, has made the wrong tyre choice, and he ends up not in the trees, but up the banking. However, he's not the only one in trouble.
It's undrivable, really, you know. It's a question of is it going to dry off? You know, we could have made a decision perhaps 3 or 4 laps earlier. We've been caught before, changed the tyres, the rain stops, and, you know, it's one of those things. It's a toss of a coin situation. Sometimes you do it right, sometimes you don't.
The consolation must be that you were going very well once you got the wets on.
Well, it's the best we've ever gone in the wet, and that is quite surprising, because every time we've been in these cars, last year and this year, the wet's been a real problem. But today it was super. So maybe we've done something.
We have 2 Rovers crossing the line.
While the Rovers roar home, Hodgetts is unhappy as he recalls his race.
It makes no difference to the result.
As we start this 25-lap race, there goes the lights.
At the Brands meeting, the up to 1600cc class have a race of their own.
I'd overtaken Dave Morgan, Richard Morgan, going along the straight, was on the correct line going into Paddock Bend, and the next thing I knew, he just nipped me up the back. Just drove straight into the back of me. And he dropped in behind me going into Paddock, and then the stock, instead of slowing down for Paddock, he just drove straight into the back of me.
To you after that?
I undid my harness, moved the catch fencing away and managed to get the car, extricate the car from the catch fencing and drive it. Didn't have time to stop to put the harness together because I just wanted to get on with it.
Whether he was hit or not, in the heat of the moment, Hodgetts remains convinced.
I wanted to win this one. I'm very annoyed.
All you've got to do is black flag people. Because you don't actually stop them, you don't exclude them from the race, you just pull them into the pits, give them a ticking off, send them out, so they still parade around and put on a show for the spectators, but they know that because that happens, they'll lose the race.
Sunny July, the British Grand Prix meeting at Silverstone. To watch his team is Mr. Alexander Patrick.
Well, it's been a hard season this year. I think we've got so used to actually winning with the minis in, 78 and 79, that this one's been a real hard one for us.
What made you choose the Rover to go racing with this year?
Well, we felt that we wanted to get to the point where we were at the head of the field rather than in Class D, as with the Mini, where we had success consistently through the year, but then right at the last minute, all right, we won the championship, but the publicity wasn't there until the last minute. With the Rover this year, we've had good publicity right the way through.
And you're pleased with that, are you?
We're very pleased with the spin-off, yes.
The object has been achieved then?
It's most definitely been achieved, and we've, of course, been delighted with our help from our sponsors, such as Duckhams, who have been with us right from the beginning, right back to 1969, when we first competed in motorsport.
I think everybody criticised us last year for not getting the Rover sorted as fast as we did, but we had to catch up 8 years development. And we've started to do that now. The car is actually starting to feel like a racing car for the first time.
The development of the Rovers has suddenly leapfrogged. You know, it's beyond all belief.
What is it?
With motor racing, you're very much in the hands of the people that prepare the car, and the vagaries of the tyres and the tyre companies and the component suppliers, and it's much more a plan of campaign, which, if it goes well, is extremely satisfying. But it means really that the chances of winning and winning consistently are very few and far between.
From the front row of the grid, Muir makes a magnificent start and leads the field into the first corner. But there's trouble for the tail enders.
Well, about the dangers, Rex? Do you think about the dangers involved?
Only in as much that I made a conscious decision not to do single-seater racing, because I think that's too dangerous. And I'm at a time in my life where I've got a wife and a young baby, and I don't really want to expose myself, or I don't feel that it is right for me to expose myself to those sort of dangers. But I think that saloon cars, touch wood, are extremely safe.
The danger, you never think of it, because you never, I think you're probably big-headed enough to think that you're never going to make a mistake. It always happens to the other blokes, and you just wouldn't be doing it if you're worried about the danger. You wouldn't be able to concentrate on the sort of things you need to concentrate on.
The season-long duel between the Rovers and Capris comes to a head at Beckett's corner, and Muir is punted off. But it's not only the Rovers that suffer, Spice's Capri is also forced off.
It seems that it's impossible to drive alongside anybody in these days, or go around a corner alongside anybody without hitting them. I can remember a number of years ago we used to drive 3 abreast around corners.
I think that it's the frustration of the Capri people who have been winners for so long, suddenly finding that their car isn't the car to have, and the Rover is now the car to be. And I don't think they go out deliberately to knock other people off, to shorten the odds, so to speak, but they just get ragged and make mistakes.
Fortunately, there's some bad elements in the sport, and they ought to be got rid of quick. Other people have stamped down on it in a very firm manner, and that's what ought to happen in Tricentrol, because it's ridiculous. It's getting absolutely crazy.
Peter Lovett leads a 1-2 victory for the Daily Express Works Rover team, but it's teammate Jeff Allam who tastes the victory champagne. Lovett's been penalised 1 minute for an infringement, but he appeals to the stewards and is later reinstated to deprive Allam of his victory.
Unfortunately, having gone into the chicane on about the 14th lap, I got out of the way of Muir to make sure that we didn't have an accident, and whilst getting out of his way, Jeff Allam slipped through as well, and I managed to get up on the curbing and miss the yellow penalty lines and back on the track and lose a place. And the judge of fact at the corner reported to the race control that I had been into the chicane and over the curbing, as a matter of fact, so to speak, and the race control took it as he meant I'd been across the penalty line and taken an advantage. Anyway, when the judge of fact heard about the penalty at the end, he came across to say that this is not what he said, and in actual fact he said that I'd been over the chicane, so they've withdrawn the 1 minute penalty and reinstated me as the winner.
Oh, well.
Rex, very bad luck. What went wrong?
Well, we don't really know. We had some problems with the ignition system just before we went out, and I think we must have flooded the car and sooted the plugs up. And although we changed all the plugs on the line, it didn't seem to clear it, and the engine just wasn't pulling right in the race. I think the first 3 laps I was, I don't know, pulling about 6,300 down the straight in the 5th. I'm supposed to pull 7,000. When the Saloon overtook me down the straight in the 2nd lap, I knew I was something wrong.
Every tale tells a story.
Oh, it's very bitter, you know. It's an aspect of motor racing which I find totally unnecessary. And I don't want to get on too serious, I know, but yeah, we have lots of fun, particularly saloon car racing. You can be door handle to door handle, 3 abreast round corners. It's lovely for us, it's terrific for the crowd. And, you know, you win some, you lose some. But to resort to tactics like that, you know, perhaps I'm just a bit uptight at the moment. I just find it unnecessary.
I think really the thing being is it's not Duckhams, it's motor car racing, and that's the end of it, you know. Don't you think so? Yep.
Well, I'm pleased you're still reasonably cheerful anyway.
Well, I got a beer, that's fine. That's fine.
Thruxton, things are looking up. Muir's in the middle of the front row. Unfortunately, it's too good to last, and a first lap puncture forces him into the pits.
We must have hit another car.
Is there no point of restarting, Brian?
No, not running a 20-lap race, you know, flogging your guts out. I'm sorry for the spectators, but we've got one more race to do. We were going to be in the middle of the field, maybe 3 laps behind. You know, it's not really not fair on them, but we've also got our side to it.
Very bad luck, Brian.
The way it goes.
Rex has also been hit by another car, forcing the steering out of alignment and him out of contention. Hodgetts is leading the championship in his Toyota Celica, and a class win here today will clinch it, but it's not to be.
I think the Mafia were out to get me, tell you the truth. We were obviously in with the chance of winning the championship, and there's been a lot of pre-race bad publicity, unfortunately, about an homologation in particular, which put me on the back of the grid. And initially I had a very good start and got up to second place. And then, unfortunately, one of the Colts decided to ram me. Recovered from that one, got back up to third place again, and was in with it, just got past John Morris, and then another one of the Colts decided to ram me, which virtually finished it off, actually.
It's all down to the attitude of the drivers. I think that we've got to get the guys thinking properly and thinking that if they don't win every corner and dash everybody out of the road, then it's not terribly bad for their image. It's far better for their image, if that's what they're on about, to get in and do a proper job and have a race and win without punting somebody out of the way.
Jeff Allen wins, and this time it's for real.
Yeah, thanks, John. Great, yeah.
From elation in the Rover camp to despair for the Hughes Toyota team.
I think the important thing about this nerfing and barging is that it's not so much that it loses you the race, although sometimes it does. It's just that it costs such a phenomenal amount of money. And the people that are finding it now very difficult to afford to run Tricentrol saloons are finding they've got to add a whole new line on their budgets, and that's bad news.
Back to Silverstone for the final round, and the Duckhams Rover duo are joined by ex-Formula 2 driver Brad Dougal in a third team car, and he's quickest. From pole position, Dougal leads the Works Rovers and Brian Muir into the first corner. Rex's season-long bad luck doesn't end as he pits with a puncture, whilst a classic dice goes on up front. Smaller class, another classic dice. This time the continuing battle between Hodgetts Toyota and Morrison's VW. And it's nice to see that a good clean fight is still possible. Muir halts with transmission trouble, whilst Greenslade's back in the race. But it's too late.
The only problem is that there are a lot of frustrations in motorsport, an immense number of frustrations.
But obviously the frustrations are worthwhile, though. You obviously, you're not going to give up.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you win, it's like, I just can't describe it. It's so exciting and so satisfying, I suppose.
Brad Dougal can be well satisfied with a worthy third place behind the Works Rovers, while Hodgetts and Morrison continue their hard-stopping battle right to the last corner of the last lap.
It's been a season of mixed fortunes, really, for you.
It has indeed.
Are you disappointed, really?
Yeah, I don't think we can not be disappointed. We've been on the front row 3 times out of 4, out of the last 4, and one would have expected that one of them might have been ours. But each time something's happened, we haven't made it. But as they all shrugged their shoulders like I did and say, that's motor racing.
No doubt that the real reason for going motor racing is to win. And if you're not winning, or and sometimes getting knocked off so you don't even have a chance of winning, then yes, you do get very frustrated, and you start to wonder whether it's all worthwhile. But it is.
At us the first year. They didn't think much of us at the beginning of the year, but now we're a force to be reckoned with, and as I say, maybe next time.